This is the India Press channel of All India Radio. We now bring you our next program, Comments from the Press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Hindu in its editorial title Going Electric says the Union Budget has announced a bold move to make a transition to electric vehicles and offered a tax incentive for the early adopters. Its stated vision to leapfrog into an era of electric mobility and domestic vehicle manufacturing led by public transport and commercial vehicles is forward-looking. It is also inevitable because poor air quality and noise pollution have sharply affected the quality of life and pose a serious public health challenge. As the Niti Aayog has stated, the goal of shifting to electric vehicles cannot make progress without deadlines, and a market-driven approach sought by some sections of the automotive industry will leave India's capabilities and infrastructure for e-mobility trailing others, notably China. With 2030 as the outer limit, the imperative is to fix a realistic time frame by which scooters, motorcycles, three-wheel carriages and later all new vehicles will be battery-powered. An additional income tax deduction of 1.5 lakh rupees is now offered on interest paid on loans to purchase electric vehicles, and the GST Council has been moved to cut the tax on e-vehicles to 5% from 12%. Both demands were made by the industry earlier. There is a significant outlay under the second iteration of fast adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles FAME plan of Rs 10,000 crore to give a fillip to commercial vehicles and to set up charging stations. The Times of India in its editorial Transition Pangs writes, if the Karnataka government looks like a train wreck happening in slow motion, Madhya Pradesh's Congress government is negotiating choppy waters too. Feeding into these state-level crises is the larger crisis within the Congress party, which has been left headless after Rahul Gandhi's resignation. It would be reasonable to expect a political party with a storied 134-year-old history to be able to anoint a successor and get on with the job. But Congress, having lost many capable leaders over the years and lulled into a false sense of the Gandhi family's popularity, currently looks helpless without the dynasty. Not one single leader has shown ambition for the top post yet, a far cry from 2 decades ago when leaders like Sharad Pawar, Rajesh Pilot and Jitendra Prasada did not shy away from taking on Sonia Gandhi. In the absence of aspirants, the Delhi-based Old Guard's attempts to find a consensus candidate, perhaps one from the own fold, was foiled by the plain-speaking Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh, who demanded that a dynamic youth leader replace Rahul. Subsequently, a generational fault line with young leaders striking out on their own without hanging on Rahul's coattails could be developing. The Tribune in its editorial title Agrarian Distress says the land of fabulous farmers, that crucible of green revolution has witnessed a spate of agrarian suicides. Studies commissioned by the Punjab government indicate that 16,606 cases of suicide by farmers and agricultural labourers took place between 2000 and 2015. It is an irony for the state described as the food bowl of the country. Not surprisingly, therefore, that Punjab and Haryana High Court has decided to look into the issue and examine a study carried out by 3 universities in the state, setting a deadline of 2 weeks for the study to be placed on record. With agriculture becoming increasingly mechanized and scientific, the need for capital is felt acutely. Rise in the cost of chemicals, seeds, equipment and labor all add to the financial burden of a farmer, and it is the small and marginal farmers who bear the brunt of it the most. A crop failure, drought or glut entails indebtedness as they are unable to pay back loans or provide for the family's subsistence, leading them in the vicious vortex of poverty. In the case of farm laborers, they have the choice to move out to other sectors, but it is the small farmers who has to face the problem of falling incomes and rising debt. The government has tried to come out with measures like crop insurance scheme, electronic marketing of farm produce and even loan waivers, but they have failed to suffice. The Statesman in its editorial title Verdict in Greece writes, it has been a dramatic psephological swing in Greece, with voters rejecting the incumbent left-wing Syriza party in power since 2015. As it turns out, the verdict in Sunday's election has been decisively in favor of the centre-right party called New Democracy, helmed by Kyriakos Mitsotakis. There's little doubt that the unabated fiscal straits have profoundly influenced the outcome. In the net, it has been a landslide victory for New Democracy. As the election marked the eclipse of Alexis Tsipras' Syriza government, Mr. Mitsotakis was sworn in as Greece's new Prime Minister on Monday. Acutely aware of the compelling economic circumstances, he has much to prove in the aftermath of his convincing victory. As much is clear from his gracious acceptance speech, the people of Greece gave us a strong mandate yesterday to change this country. We will honor it to the full. The job begins today, and I am absolutely certain we have the capacity to complete it. He assumes office after the tumultuous phase in Greece's modern history, with the country convulsed by a prolonged financial crisis and contending with a burden of bailout debts owed to international creditors, not to forget the frequent violence on the streets of Athens. While the economy has registered modest growth, the national output of Greece has declined by 1/4.